Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Oberoi Realty Q3 FY 2021 earnings conference call. We have Mr. Oberoi, the Chairman and Managing Director of the company, and Mr. Saumil Daru, Director of Finance of the company, with us for the call. Please note that this call will be for 60 minutes, and for the duration of this conference call, all participant lines will be in listen-only mode, and this conference call is being recorded, and the transcript for the same may be put on the website of the company. After the management discussion, there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions. Should anyone need assistance during the conference call, you may signal an operator by pressing star, then 0 on your touchtone telephone. Before I hand the conference over to the management, I would like to remind you that certain statements made during the course of this call may not be based on historical information or facts and may be forward-looking statements, including those relating to general business statements, plans, strategy of the company, the future financial condition, and growth prospect. The forward-looking statements are based on expectations and projections and may involve a number of risks and uncertainties and other factors that could cause actual results, opportunities, and growth potential to differ materially from those suggested by such statements. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Oberoi, the Chairman and Managing Director of the company. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you as per the time zone from which you have logged in, and welcome to the conference of Q3 FY 2021 results and business updates. Thank you all for taking time for attending this call. I hope your family and you are doing well and keeping yourself safe. Before I begin, I want to share a few quick updates with you. In Q3, we achieved our highest ever pre-sales number for a non-launch quarter. The gross booking value stood in excess of 1,000 crores. As you would have all seen, the numbers were strongly supported by all our projects. Borivali continued to outperform with 100 units being booked in this quarter, and Eternia crossed the 1,000 crore booking value milestone. We also completed the acquisition of the hotel property, the Ritz-Carlton Mumbai, from our JV partner and now are 100% owners of the hotel component of 360 West. We also prepaid 50% of our first tranche worth 200 crores of the 700 crores NCD, 21 months ahead of the scheduled payment. This only goes to show how strong our collections have been from our customers despite everything happening around us. With this, I will now hand over the call to our Group CFO, Mr. Saumil Daru, for details of the numbers. I'm here and will be happy to address your individual questions once we begin our question and answer session. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Oberoi. I guess most of you must have gone through the presentation which is available on our website along with the results filed with the exchanges. We'll keep things short to help us allocate adequate time for Q&A. In terms of consolidated financials, we achieved consolidated revenue of 837 crores this quarter as against 325 crores for Q2 FY21 and 536 crores for Q3 FY20. The consolidated profit before tax was rupees 360 crores for this quarter as against 168 crores for Q2 FY21 and 209 crores for Q3 FY20. The consolidated PAT stood at 286 crores for this quarter as against 138 crores for Q2 FY21 and 148 crores for Q3 FY20. Moving on to the asset performances and beginning with the investment properties. Oberoi Mall, the top line this quarter was 49 crores as against 34 crores in Q2 FY21 and the revenue of rupees 40 crores in Q3 FY20. The EBITDA margins in this vertical is at about 97%. Commerz, which is the office space asset, contributed 6 crores to the operating revenue this quarter as against 5 crores in the preceding quarter and 6 crores in the same quarter last year. The EBITDA margins in this asset is at about in excess of 92%. Commerz too contributed about 33 crores for this quarter as against 32 crores for Q2 FY21 and 31 crores for Q3 FY20. The EBITDA margin in this asset is in excess of 98%. The Westin Mumbai Garden City, it contributed 11 crores to the operating revenue for this quarter, as against 6 crores for Q2 FY21 and about 38 crores for Q3 FY20. Moving on to the development properties. For Exquisite, the total booking value in this quarter was 27 crores, as against 67 crores in Q2 FY21 and 35 crores for Q3 FY20. The cumulative booking value till date in this project stands at close to 2,500 crores, and the total revenue recognized for this project in this quarter is 27 crores, and the entire cumulative revenue recognition till date stands at close to 2,500 crores on account of 100% project completion. For Esquire, during this quarter we booked close to 107,000 square feet. Till date we have booked close to about 87% of the inventory. Total booking value in this quarter is rupees 234 crores, as against 30 crores in Q2 FY21 and 59 crores for Q3 FY20. The cumulative booking value till date is about 3,100 crores. The total revenue recognized for this project in this quarter was 238 crores, and the cumulative revenue recognition till date again is about 3,100 crores on account of 100% project completion. Moving on to Maxima, here we booked close to about 36,700 square feet in this quarter. The total booking value for this quarter stands at 61 crores, as against about 0.04 crores in Q2 FY21 and 21 crores in Q3 FY20, and the total booking value till date is 97 crores. Moving on to Mulund, we have booked close to 52,600 square feet this quarter in Eternia. The total booking value for this quarter was rupees 76 crores, as against 2 crores in Q2 FY21 and 17 crores for Q3 FY20. The cumulative booking value till date stands at 1,052 crores. The total revenue recognized for this project in this quarter was rupees 58 crores, and the cumulative revenue recognition till date has been 684 crores. Continuing with Mulund, in Enigma, this quarter we booked close to nearly 103,700 square feet. Total booking value of which was about 157 crores, as this is as against 40 crores in Q2 FY21 and 9 crores in Q3 FY20. The cumulative booking value till date is at about 883 crores in Enigma. The total revenue recognized in this quarter was 135 crores, and the cumulative revenue recognition till date is 556 crores. Thus, for Mulund totally, we booked close to 156,300 square feet in this quarter, the total booking value of which was 233 crores, and the cumulative booking value of both Eternia and Enigma together stands at close to 1,935 crores. For Sky City, we booked close to about 175,000 square feet in this quarter, the total booking value of which was 293 crores, as against 60 crores for Q2 FY21 and 100 crores for Q3 FY20. Till date, the booking value in this project is about 3,350 crores, and the total revenue recognized for this project in this quarter was 227 crores, and cumulative revenue recognition till date stands at about 2,367 crores. For 360 West in Oasis, we booked about 24,600 square feet in this quarter. Booking value was about 121 crores. Till date, the booking value is about 2,722 crores. Coming back to some key financial parameters, our adjusted EBITDA margins for this quarter was 44%. The PAT margins was 34%. The EBITDA margins for mall and commerce are much higher than average, as I mentioned earlier. Excluding them, the margins for our pure play residential business is about 37% for this quarter. With this, the floor is now open to questions that you all may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Parikshit Kandpal from HDFC Securities. Please go ahead.
Hi Vikas, congratulations on amazing set of numbers. I think no one would have imagined that the numbers will go up 3x. So that how are you going ahead? How are you seeing this trend now? So do you think is it because of pent-up demand, or do you think the demand is going to sustain for next couple of quarters? If you can just comment on the outlook for the MMR on real estate side.
Hi, Parikshit. Good afternoon. Thank you for your kind words. I feel that I think many things have been said, many things have been predicted in the past. I would only say that actual users are out there to buy. Pandemic has shown that money in the bank is of no use. People need decent sizes homes. We are very lucky. We are very uniquely placed. If you see, Esquire is ready for delivery, and the numbers only show that how people have lapped on it. Borivali getting ready for completion, Mulund getting ready for completion, Worli getting ready for completion. So a lot of our inventory is either almost ready or getting ready to be delivered, and that really instills a lot of confidence in the buyer, and also the fact that our track record is good. So all this put together has really, done really well for us. And I feel that this trend will continue to grow. I also very strongly feel that there will be a large amount of consolidation. And I feel it will be more of customer consolidation than developer consolidation, because what you really get from a developer only is land. And so that we can continue to see happen. And I think so. This is how I will probably, say that from my end, this is how things probably will look.
But as a portfolio, when most of the projects have done well, so counterintuitively, we would have thought that 360 West would have also followed the trend. So what are you doing there to accelerate sales? Because whatever stimulus we got, the stamp duty cuts and all, so that is already there, but still we are not seeing any acceleration in that project. So how do you see the pickup in that project?
So I can only tell you 360 West is the next project that will surprise everybody in the market in the next quarter itself, in the present quarter itself. So I have full confidence the product is good. People who come in love it. And you'll see that we'll really have similar results and similar reactions also when 360 West joins the party.
Okay. This is the last question to Saumil. Saumil, this Oberoi Mall, if we compare like to like, so this quarter, and there is some impact of the revenues which you have not booked earlier has come in. But if I have to see like to like, how do you see the area which has been open for operations? So if you compare why is there any growth, or what would be the consumption? You can just give some sense on that.
Yeah. So basically, in all fairness, we will have to wait for the entire financial year to get over before, anything becomes meaningfully comparable. Because there are a whole bunch of, accounting adjustments on straight lining and everything which you will be seeing. So all in all, if you look at the overall commercial deal which we had, even discussed with you all during our earlier calls, that, as far as the retailers are concerned, we are saying that, overall they will pay us about 50% for the year. So I think that's where that number will finally come to from a pure, I think you are asking from a cash flow perspective, kya hoga?
About consumption, how much is the consumption reached in that month? It was, say, 80% of the area is operational, say.
Correct.
If I compare the same area, so has it reached 100 rupees YOY, or is it like still at 60-70%?
Obviously, it's not reached the entire amount of what was there pre-pandemic, but within this context, what you see is many of the retailers are way beyond 100% of what they were doing pre-pandemic. So including some people who are at close to 115 or 120% of where they were. Obviously, some of them are lower than that. So, and this is becoming a kind of a month-on-month kind of a trend, and it is changing all the while, So we are also keenly following it. But in terms of we are looking at it, what it finally comes down to us. But what you are clearly seeing at mall level is a very healthy recovery in consumption. And on an average, I think I'll just want to circle back with the mall guys, but it's a pretty healthy. I mean, even I was there in the mall yesterday evening for that matter, and it was actually buzzing. So, and most importantly, what you're seeing is the hardcore shoppers who are coming in, they're the serious shoppers. So that is converting into a fair amount of cash as far as the retailers is concerned.
Parikshit, I'll just add a line to this. In fact, I look at numbers of people who are on a revenue share with us, and you'll be surprised that there are some businesses that are back 85%, and there are some businesses that are doing 110% of what they were doing last year. So on an average, I can only tell you that even though we still don't have a vaccine, we have a vaccine in place, but people haven't been vaccinated yet. The businesses are back to near 100% on an overall basis. Like I said, that some are below 100 and some are even above 100. So it's remarkable. It's surprising us also, and we're very excited, very happy about it.
Okay, sir. That's all.
Mr. Khan.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, please limit your questions to one per participant. We would request the participants to avoid any follow-up questions. The next question is from the line of Abhinav Sinha from Jefferies. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Hi.
Sir, congratulations. Great numbers. Now, with some bit of inventory, which has come down, are we looking to, get on to the next set of new launches anytime soon, or you think there's still a lot of momentum in the inventory that we have?
No. I mean, the good part is none of our projects compete with each other. So we are very clear that we are going to start the third phase of our Goregaon launch and our Thana, both within this quarter. And we are at a very advanced stage. It's just a little bit of minor tweaking here and there, some process which we need to follow with RERA. All these things are happening, and we are ready to launch.
Okay. And just one more, if I may. On the platform deal that we were considering last quarter, if you can update us on the progress and if anything significant is outstanding for completing that. Thank you.
When we go out to people and want to do the platform level deal, there is a gap between their expectation and our numbers. We are getting money really, really cheap. At times even like sub 9%. I mean, actually always sub 9%. At times even lower than that. So we are really in two minds whether one should do a platform level deal or continue to build it and create a critical mass and do that. Because giving them a piece of our business is actually giving them almost 15% return on their investment. So we are still contemplating, whether one should do it or not. Though we have a non-binding term sheet, done, but somehow we are like having a re-thought on that.
Thank you. I will rejoin this.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Samir Baisiwala from Morgan Stanley. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you very much, and an excellent quarter. So, question, Souvik, maybe it's for you. The operating cash flow that the company has generated, slide number 3, 187 crores versus say 287 is net profits. But as you sell more and more of finished goods, such as Esquire, I would have expected the operating cash flows to be far more stronger. Just your thoughts on this.
No, you're right, Samir. So the only thing is that, so when you also sell these things, you also give customers a period of anywhere between 30 days to 60 days to pay up the entire consideration in Esquire. So for bookings which would have happened, say in October or early part of November, you would have seen the entire cash flow coming by end of December. But for bookings which would have happened, say from 15 November onwards and, again towards the end of December also, we saw a fair amount of conversions coming in. In those cases, the cash would come in over a period of, 60 days, so which will spill over into the next quarter. And then when you look at other projects also, because this bottom line is across all projects. So when you will start looking at other projects also, for example, Mulund or Borivali, there anywhere between only about 70 to 80% of the consideration is due, and that also comes in again over a period of anywhere between 60 to 90 days, So that's where you will see a little bit of a mismatch. But give it a quarter or so, and you're actually coming off from a situation where a lot of working capital had got frozen, in the first couple of quarters. So in usual circumstances, you don't see these gaps in operating cash flows. But give it a quarter or so, and you should see this entire cash getting collected.
Sameer, I'll just add a bit. Most of our sales have, the documents are registered. People have paid stamp duty. We would have received anywhere between 10 and 25% from the buyer. The remaining 75% is like what Saumil said, is committed between either Jan and February. We give 30 days, but lot of these deals have happened, in the third or the fourth week of December. And most people have been, wanting to first pay stamp duty, get things done in terms of registration. Some of them have bank loans. So, by the time we circle back to the bank and, the quarter's gone, and that's why it is. But these are solid sales, and that's how it is.
Okay, great. Thanks. And just on the Ritz-Carlton deal of, doing this transaction at 1,040 crores, is it, we have been tracking you with us for a very long period of time, and you're very stingy about how you do your capital deployment. So just what's the thought process behind this, and do you think you can get the same level of ROI that you do, with transactions such as Thane transactions, etc.?
So, Sameer, firstly, ORL's arm itself has purchased this asset. So that's point one. In this, we have basically only taken our monies out, and our partners have almost also only taken the monies that they had spent on the project out. Per se, there is no profit here. So, we have not done, barring the money that we paid our partner, we have not done any fresh capital deployment. This is our own money which was invested and spent on the project that has come back, and it was their money that has come back. So really, whether if it were to be lying in the AOP or whether it comes into us, per se, it's not changed much, So we've just kind of crystallized our ownership. We were 50-50. There is always an issue of running see, the residential component is self-extinguishing. Every time we sell a flat, money is coming, it gets distributed, this is the agreement, and we are done with it. Once all flats are sold, the AOP doesn't exist. But a hotel partnership would continue to exist. So this actually has been a very elegant way of, parting ways with the existing partner. And like I said, that there is no major fresh capital deployment. There is really no way in which I can look at the ROI as such. But to your point, we've always maintained that we would not go out and buy a hotel. If it's a part of the development, we'll build it. But and it's always complementing our development around what we do. Not as a business, we are never attracted to it, and we maintain that.
Which the partner gets 1,040 or the partner gets 520 crores?
No. Partner spend was much lesser. Some 200, 300 crores is what he got, and the rest was only a book entry, which was our spending. We gave it to the JV, and the JV gave it back to us.
Okay, got it.
Very simple. I mean, hardly any money spent. Like I said, both parties simply took their cost off the table. And, in a time like this, there wasn't any, that's how it is. I mean, that's what we really did, actually.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Saurabh from JP Morgan. Please go ahead.
Sir, two questions. One is, after the stamp duty cut rationalizes in the fourth quarter, of fiscal 22, would you expect the demand to go down because the pent-up would have got some, extinguished between the last quarter and this quarter? And the second is, essentially, Saumil, if you can update us that what will be the current expectation of the completion dates of your major commercial projects which are under construction? I'm just trying to see whether our 1,400 crore guidance for, rents for fiscal 24 will still be intact. Thank you.
So, firstly, the stamp duty cut continues till March. So we basically know that that's how it is. It's very difficult to predict whether there will be a drop in demand or no. One can't say that. But certainly this is working out both for the government and for us, because government has never been able to collect this kind of stamp duty, even when the rates were 5%. So I think government also has made a note and would like to keep it attractive. Having said that, there is also, sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
There is enough momentum in the market also, which looks like it will continue. Two, there is a huge reduction in supply. There are two things, post-COVID, not many developers have been able to get up and running. Their projects are not being able to up and running, not up and running as well. We've been lucky, despite the world believing that there's shortage of labor, we have enough and more labor at site. And this also is because not many people have been able to start their work. So I feel that we are very strongly moving towards a supply constraint. And I read somewhere, I can dare to resonate or agree with that person, that the prices are likely to go up. You can see, commodity prices having gone up. Many things in the real estate industry are going to cost more than what it did, when we built it. So there is enough for people to believe that the prices could go up. So people who don't buy today will end up buying something expensive later. Of course, government is giving all the benefits. There's a reduction in premium. There is a reduction in stamp duty. So all this is there, but I don't think it's enough for it to pull a lot of developers who are already in the green. So these are multiple factors one has to consider before we kind of decide how the next quarter is going to look like.
Thank you, Vikas. And Saumil, on the completion date?
Yeah. So as far as Com 3 is concerned, Saurabh, we are looking at a staggered delivery between, some part completing in March 22, but everything completing by March 23. So that is one bit. Then as far as the Sky City Mall is concerned, we are looking at completion by about anywhere between March 22 to about June 22. And as far as the GSK one is concerned, with the way things stand, that could be anywhere around September 23.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So basically, by fiscal 24, everything is done, right, by Max?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Abhishek Bhandari from Macquarie. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Congrats to Vikas and Saumil for an excellent start to the year.
Hi, Abhishek.
I have two questions, pertaining to your residential business. So, Vikas, if I heard you correctly, you said that the premium cut and the stamp duty cut won't be enough to reduce the prices. So could you just run us through some basic math, when we keep reading and hearing that the premium cut might bring in about 5 to 7% fall in the property prices. Do you think it's otherwise, that there should be no reduction in property price?
So see, I'll just tell you that most developers have very heavily leveraged balance sheets. The numbers that you are talking about get covered in 6 months of their interest cost if they delay their project or anything like that. So I don't understand where their reduction will come in. Plus, look at how steel has ramped up. Look at how commodity has gone up. I mean, we're already facing so much heat from our contractors that, they want to kind of find a way to get more money out of us because prices of commodity have gone up. Nobody kind of hedges here in India, at least not in our business, long enough for them to be ensured that they'll either get copper or steel or whatever, or cement at that price. So these are variables that are further going to hit. So I don't feel, I'm very clear that even if one is selling at current prices, either, you want to take the money off the table or you want the momentum to continue or, something like that. But the minute this supply ends, I can clearly tell you the replacement cost of what people are buying and what we are selling will probably end up being a lot higher. So given that, I clearly see that at some point, markets will look at a price increase.
Okay,
I know it doesn't sound correct in the given scenario, but please understand we are going towards a supply constrained market, and supply constrained due to many things. Developers, how many developers are here actually building on site? How many are going to be able to deliver it? And so on and so forth. So this is going to be a huge thing.
Okay, got it. Vikas, second question is, if you could help us understand what portion of your sales are coming from subvention schemes. Because it seems that you're still running subvention schemes across all your projects. Maybe Worli doesn't have it, but everything else seems to have it.
So our subvention schemes are slightly different. Unlike a lot of people who come with 199, 599, 95, 1090, ours are 25, 75. 25% of the money comes to me. 75% of the money comes, at completion. Number one. Number two. Almost all my sales are bank subvention. That means my buyer is kosher. He has the money, or rather he is bankable enough to get a loan for this. All I have to do is complete it and sell. Complete it and deliver it to him and take money from the banks. That's about it. I would say that bank subvention and actual sales are different in different projects. But by and large, I would say they are about 50-50.
Okay. Vikas, if I can ask one last question with your permission. This is regarding your mall or the retail project.
Sorry. Abhishek, can I stand corrected? My team tells me that in fact we have got more non-subvention payment and more and less subvention. So it's not 50-50, it's more skewed towards down payment. So just stand corrected to that.
Sure. Thanks for that. And Vikas, my last question is on your, the other land parcel at Worli, where we are still in two minds, whether to make a retail mall or an office. And I think in the last call you did mention that also depends on the platform what you might be wanting to make. So given that it looks like probably you're putting the platform on a back burner, so any change in plan now there? And also, Vikas, you mentioned to one of the questions earlier that you like clean structures, which is good. That is the reason for buying out the hotel. So here also you still have that 50% stake in your personal capacity. So any plans to take it out? Especially given that probably the valuation of the land at this stage might be lower compared to a development stage. Thanks.
So Abhishek, firstly I'll answer the last question first. In this case I am an interested party directly. So all valuations and all are always an issue. Having said that, like I said, I'm very committed. I'll be judged by how I get out of this. I'm very mindful of that, and I'm going to find a very elegant way of getting out so that the company benefits and everybody believes that the way we run our company, the transparency, the way we run our company is like shown in the way we are going about doing this transaction. So I'm personally very committed, very invested in how this is done. Too much is at stake for us. What was your second question? Sorry.
Yeah. So any confirmation on the plan on what you want to do with that land, hotel, mall, or office, or you still would want to keep it on a slow process till you make up your mind firmly on the platform or not?
So Abhishek, I'll just tell you, the new DCR is out, and there are clarity to that new DCR that's coming. Then there is also this has been for a very long time. The government of India had come up with a transit-oriented development policy at the center for all the states to adopt it. Finally, I think our state is waking up to the fact that there is money to be made. All the FSI that TODs sell, government gets a premium, and that actually helps them build the metros and stuff like that. There's a huge, I think, drive that this should now get activated or affected. So basis that we probably will get FSI or more FSI. So we just want to be sure once we have a clear understanding of what FSI one can get when we build commercial, what FSI can get one if we build residential, or when we build mall, or a mix of that. we will take that call. I think when we speak next, in the next quarter call, I think we'll be very clear with that also.
That's great to hear. Thanks, Vikas, and all the best for this year.
Thank you, Abhishek.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Kunal Lakhan from CLSA. Please go ahead.
Hi, Kunal.
Yeah, hi. Hi, Vikas, and hi, Saumil. Just one question to you, Vikas. You mentioned that, most developers are heavily leveraged and some are already in the grave. So how are you looking at the opportunities in the market in terms of new acquisitions, and how are we approaching it?
So, approaching it the way we always do, very cautious. We are clear that at the end of the day, we must make money. We must make money without, a lot of complications and lot of stress. Do a good job for the customer. So, we have a set of criteria. If it fits in, we will go out there and buy that land, and we want to be very, very clear that it should fit in. Only then we'll buy. We don't want to ideally take brownfield projects because they come with their legacy issues. There is this one, stress in the market that also keeps the land prices at check. So we would either look at land purchase from the developer where they're clean, or even like companies like Glaxo and X and Y, when they come out to sell their property in a market like this, they'll get market price. They wouldn't get super duper premium on it and stuff like that. So we prefer buying those, and we are continuing to look at good land parcels.
That's helpful. But do we have any urgency now, considering Thane was the last land which we bought, which was a few years back now?
So see, Thane, we have to launch Thane. It's if everything goes well, it'll be 15 million square feet of area to build and sell. So I'm just saying that there is enough on our plate. We have, we have towers in Borivali to build. We have 5 towers in Goregaon to build. There's so much in Mulund to build and sell. We've got Worli also happening. Again, I said that, strategy is very clear. Let's not really psych ourselves that the last property I bought was 2 years ago. If I get great property the next day, I'll go and buy it. If I don't get something for the next few days or a few months or a few years, I'll wait for the right opportunity.
Sure, Vikas, that's helpful. My second question is to Saumil. Saumil, just a couple of bookkeeping questions. In our cash flow statement, there is a investing cash outflow of 505 crores odd. I'm presuming out of that 200 to 250 crores was towards a purchase of Ritz-Carlton stake.
Correct.
And so the balance 300 crores would be?
Between Com3 and the Borivali Mall.
Okay. That's quite an outflow for one quarter.
So also, because there is also some FSI which has been purchased and all of that in those cases. TDR, basically.
Okay, got it. And second one is on we repaid a fair bit of our NCDs. Was that in Q3 or was that in current quarter?
No, that was in Q3.
So the financing cash flow seems kind of flattish. So was it like more of a refinancing than repayment?
No, because on the one side where we were repaying, there were also some other lines where we were drawing down. So that's why it has remained, so to say, constant. But otherwise, it's not refinancing.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much and all the best.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Parvez Akhtar from Edelweiss Securities. Please go ahead.
Hi. Good afternoon, sir, and congratulations for a great. Look, couple of questions from my side. First is, with regards to future launch of inventory and Borivali, what are our plans? And second, just wanted to get your thoughts on the recent premium cut by the Maharashtra government, and what are the kind of benefits that we see for ourselves. Thank you.
So, firstly, I think premium cuts is a great call. This was a recommendation by the Deepak Parekh committee. I think the government should engage with people like Deepak Bhai more often to understand the real dynamics. And today, like the spike in stamp duty collection, the government of Maharashtra will see a huge spike in premium collections. For the last 1 year, they got nothing really. and now they will see this huge, like a hockey stick curve kind of collection. So it will be great for the government of Maharashtra. It will be great for the industry also. It is great for the industry. And as far as launches go, we have 3 towers in Borivali to launch. We will be doing it, as we speak. We have 5 towers that we are building in Goregaon. You will see that launch happen this quarter. You will see another Thane launch in this quarter. So a lot of work will happen in this coming quarter.
Sure. So just to follow up with regards to, the next year, on which are the projects where we can get a benefit of the lower approval cost because of the premium cut?
All the projects, all my projects, I'm going to make sure that I get approvals within the year and I get the benefit of, lower premiums. We will do that.
Sure. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Alpesh Mehta from Motilal Oswal Financial Services. Please go ahead.
Hello. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are. Please proceed.
Yeah. So one of the follow-up question on the launches that we have. So can you quantify the total leasable area which would be launched in this quarter, like a ballpark figure would also work?
Leasable area. We are not launching.
Saleable area. Sorry, that was a mistake. Yeah. So saleable area for these 3 projects that we are going to launch.
See, the 2 towers here in Goregaon will probably be about what? Each tower is about 9 lakh square feet. So 2 towers will be about 18 lakh square feet. And we have Borivali also about, another 24, 25 lakh square feet. We have Thana, again, if we probably might launch a million square feet there. So almost 50 lakh square feet all in all we will launch. Between 40 and 50 lakh square feet.
Okay, got it. And second thing, sir, as you were mentioning that we are moving into, a supply constraint kind of environment in Mumbai, and now this premium cut has come. So do you think that this will kick in the supply for developers, probably maybe the graded developers? And if this is so, then will it change our near-term strategy for next 2-3 years from the business development perspective in an aggressive way?
So good part is, like whatever we'll buy and try to build today will only be coming into the market as a supply after 3 years. And that is also if everything continues to be the same way. Just because premiums are down doesn't mean supply will increase, because there's so much more that one needs to do. And I told you earlier that the benefit of interest premium can be lost in 6 months of interest cost if you are heavily leveraged. So this is something that one needs to be mindful of.
Okay. That's it from my side, and all the best for the next quarter.
Thank you, Alpesh.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Manish Gandhi, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Hi, Manish.
Good afternoon. Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Oberoi, Saumil. Very good afternoon. Congratulations on great sales achievement. And
thank you, Manish.
It speaks about our brand in consumer mind. So my first question would be, I would love to know thought process behind our CST bid. And in future, do you see many such opportunities opening up, as the mindset of the government is also changing towards asset monetization?
See, firstly, CST is a very simple project as such. You have to build certain area for have a land parcel which they want to monetize. So we look at it like any other land purchase, really, and that's how we are looking at bidding for it and buying that. And there is really no, but you're absolutely right also that there's a change in the mindset. And if the government comes up with projects which are so clean, we would be very happy to bid for it and and buy them. Like it's almost like if MMRDA were to sell any of their Bandra BKC land, we will be we'll be very happy to bid there as well, and we are considering it like that.
Okay, right. And second on Goregaon, so you said that you are planning to launch 2 towers. Of course, there were a lot of rumors in the market from channel partners. As we have one tower, RERA already. Earlier it was saying one tower, then two. I don't know. Why not launch 3 towers? Because we are launching after 10 years, and of course, great demand. And I know so many people that they are ready to buy. So just was thinking about that.
So, Manish, we have started work at 4 of the 5 towers. We are at the 5th, 6th, 7th slab of that. And again, there's no real reason why we can't do 3 and why we can't do 2. So between, like I said, it's like we start with 1. We can always start with 2. We can move into 3. So from sales point of view, there's nothing really holding us to start more sales. Like work has already started, we can do that. But we prefer making sure that we have enough sales done on one project because the way things are. We are identifying individual building as a project as far as RERA goes, so that the money within the project is also used in building it. RERA has its own set of conditions. So a little bit of thought on that has also gone in mind. Instead of scattering your sales in 3, 4 of them, I'd rather concentrate my sale in one building. And if I have to fund it, I can fund my own building as and when I want. But when whatever is committed to the RERA, whatever is committed to the customer will get built faster and better. See, we just want to be sure that it's a big commitment going forward. Next 3 years, if I build these 5 buildings, we are looking at almost 2,500 odd crores of expenses to be done. So we need to be sure that the flow is correct. If I focus on one tower and I concentrate every customer in there, then the monies will help us build that also. That's the whole idea. It's really a prudent business call, nothing other than that.
Right. I just, because I had a few channel partners, I was just talking to them and they were saying that if we launch only one tower, there will be, because a lot of interest from people and there could be a disappointment because as you know, the views and vastus and all, of course you know better.
True.
The last one is, since last many quarters, your commentary about commercials and your update about commercial. So is it fair to assume that we'll be having lot of commercials in Thane? And on that also, we have 2 adjoining plots in Thane, which are Blue Star and one other. So is there a possibility, because I just went there, and if we have any possibility of buying them, then it makes a beautiful, L-shaped plot.
Manish, we have 60 acres of land and we have literally 15 million square feet, 8 crore foot we have to build there. So it really, whether, again, a Blue Star comes in or no, we have literally, even if I'm going to sell a million square feet a year in 15 years, I'll have to do it faster to consume that. Adding more land and, is not, it doesn't really do anything great for us. I'd rather take that money and buy land in a suburb where I don't have any supply. So that was my thing. What else did you ask me about Thane?
About your commentary since last...
commercial, sorry. We are not doing any major commercial there. We are very happy doing residential. You've seen, we are a residential-centric developer and residential really, has been an outperformer and has been an outperformer for a longer time. We will continue to focus on commercial, but resi is our bread and butter. We want to do that more.
Okay. That's all from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Girish Chaudhary from Spark Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening and congrats on a very strong set of pre-sales. My first question is on the 360. If you can just highlight us if there is any progress on the OC for the project.
Sorry, come again. What's your question?
In terms of the OC for the 360 West project, is there any development there?
So, for the hotel bit, we already have OC. We bought that with occupation certificate. For the rest of the project also, it's like work in progress as usual. All our buildings in the city have OC, whichever one we build and we are building, always has it. It's only a matter of time. There are certain commitments from our partner to complete in terms of his SRA commitment and all that. But they're all usual stuff. It'll come absolutely. It's a matter of weeks, and that's it.
Okay, sure. And my second question is on the collection, and specifically for the Sky City project. While we have seen a very strong pre-sales close to around 300 crores for the quarter, but collection has lagged significantly to the tune of just 130 crores, and this is much below the quarterly run rate which we saw in FY 19 and 20. So if you could explain this on the Sky City project collection.
I think Samir asked us this question. Samir Baisiwala had asked us this question, and we told him that most of our sales are done in December. Monies of that come probably in Jan and Feb. All these are registered sales with very reasonable, anywhere between 10 and 25% already paid. The balance 75 to come in, between Jan and March. So no such worry as such.
Sure. Thank you, and all the very best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Samir Baisiwala from Morgan Stanley. Please go ahead.
Thank you.
Hi, Samir.
Hi.
Hi.
Some quick question on the other current assets and current liabilities. I can see that the other current assets have gone up by 240 crores and current liabilities have come down by 200 crores. So basically creating a 450 crore kind of cash deficit. So just your thoughts, what's driving this?
Samir, so hi, Saumil. So, when it goes up, it basically is a result of this revenue recognition. So, what we just discussed. So, for example, in Borivali, when I sell, even though I have not collected the cash, as far as the work completion percentage is concerned, and let's say, for example, it is 70%, I end up recognizing revenue to the extent of 70%, though I have not collected it. Hence, it becomes, billing in excess of revenues, and that's what drives that particular number up. When you see the current liabilities come down, it's essentially a matter of recognition. So, wherever you have billed out earlier and that amount is lying as, unrecognized sale, corresponding to the recognition in this quarter, that's where it comes off. So, this is essentially the percentage completion at work.
Okay, got it. Very clear. And because just on the rental platform monetization, so is it largely off the table? Because I thought the monies that you would have got would have been to acquire new, land parcels to do more of these rental assets. So platform.
Sorry. Again, Samir, nothing has been ruled out. It's just that when you do the math, basically, they want us to bring in our existing portfolios and they want to bring in something that we are building going forward. And I'll just tell you what they are telling me is that they want to discount the under construction portfolio by almost 15% to today's market value. And why would I want to do that? I'm very clear that I can build it. I'm very clear that I can, I can get money at much lower price. So I think there is too much that one ends up, leaving in terms of value for them. And I'm sure they're getting many desperate deals in the market, whereas we are not desperate as such. And number one, our plan to build doesn't change. What basically they are also saying is that you take this money from us and go and buy more office land. So we or cash out and do that. If you cash out, you end up paying taxes. So again, it's not a very efficient way. We thought that, like Commerce II, we have to give possession for fit out to one of our largest tenants next year. And then after that, one more year, we have to give it ready. And we are gearing up for that. So we said we don't really need anybody today for doing either or, and it doesn't even stop us from buying more land, and that's where we are. So we are very minutely studying all the pros and cons. There are tax issues. There are issues with regards to simply the way they want to value that. Of course, we still make money. It's not that we don't make money. But why would I want any of my projects getting discounted at these values?
Okay, and one final one, because you made a very interesting comment on the pricing in Mumbai. So 2 parts to that. One, are you actively thinking for your current projects which are sort of ongoing? And second is for the new launches. How are you? I know you can't share the pricing, but what's the framework in your mind? Is it going to be time value adjusted for the comparable completed projects, or how should we think about that?
Oh, totally. So I just want to tell you that we want to be very attractive for the market. That is very, very clear. And pricing will be keeping in mind the current values, keeping in mind the fact that people have to wait for for this to get completed. We'll also have developer subvention and bank subvention schemes. We will create some sort of differentiation, and I can tell you this because it's a great platform for the world to know that as far as bank subventions go, we might ask the buyer to pay us 10 and 15%, which is 25%, and 75 on possession. If you are coming to developer subvention, then you might have to pay 10 more %. So we'll end up collecting 35% from this guy, and things like that, and probably end up keeping the price similar because people don't like paying more money in terms of price, but they don't mind paying a more down payment. And our rationale here is that one is more bankable and the other one, needs to, put that much in the game. And I feel that these sort of collections will make sure that our construction cost is way easily covered with the percentage that we collect from them. So again, price, terms, we want to make a massive success out of it. We love, doing this, and we will really play to the galleries here.
Okay, excellent, and good luck to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Abhinav Sinha from Jefferies. Please go ahead.
Hi, thanks for taking the question. Saumil, just one question. We haven't seen much progress on a QOQ basis on percentage completion for both Sky City and the Atenia project, barely about 1%. So I thought the workers were backing full strength. So can you explain it?
So, some of the work has been happening around, one is the areas around that thing. The other thing is, I think this is also a lot to do with the way things get rounded off. So actually the work done is in excess of 2%, but, for the earlier quarter it got rounded off higher and the next quarter it got rounded off lower or something. So that's the case. But again, with the way we are seeing the ramping up happening on the site, I think next quarter you should actually see the normal thing getting restored.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Thanks.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, due to time constraint, that was the last question. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Vikas Oberoi for closing comments.
Thank you all for taking time to attend this call. We take back with us a lot of good feedback from these interactions, and we will continue to seek your input and help. Our team is always available to interact and speak with you all. If you have any further feedback, please feel free to share with us. Thank you once again, and have a great day ahead.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And a happy Republic Day as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Oberoi Realty, that concludes this conference. We thank you all for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.